All right, hello, welcome to this Hurricane Henri update. Yes, Henri is now a hurricane, but a minimal one. And we're going to take a look at the latest here. And fortunately, it's still moving north-northeast. So this is some good news. It seems to be tracking more east. So maybe at least the Brunt will escape the Brunt here in the western part of Long Island. But let's go to the latest public advisory. Henri is moving faster. A dangerous storm surge, hurricane conditions, and flooding rainfall are expected in portions of the northeast United States beginning late tonight or early Sunday. As of 2 p.m., its location 35.4 north, 71.8 west, about 208 miles east of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, and about 395 miles south of Montauk Point, New York. Maximum sustained wind 75 miles an hour. It's moving north-northeast at 20 degrees at 17 miles an hour, and minimum sun pressure 991 millibars, 29.27 inches. All right. So we go and we look at the extent of the maximum sustained winds. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 65 miles from the center, while tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 125 miles from the center. So the storm has gotten a little larger. And we're going to go look at some information here as far as the reconnaissance goes as well, which I don't usually show, but we're going to show that as well so you can get an idea of the wind field. So Suffolk County remains under a hurricane warning. We in Nassau County are under a tropical storm warning, as well as looks like New York City and parts of northern New Jersey as well. All right. So they might have it landfalling as a tropical storm now. All right. And again, it's moving north-northeast at 17 miles an hour. All right, here's the warning cone right there. All right, and let's look at the loop of this now. This is the loop right here. You can see it's already getting fairly close to us. Maybe getting some of the extra moisture already. It's not really looking too impressive on this loop, I gotta admit. It's starting to interact with the colder water, and it's probably not going to get any stronger than 75 miles an hour. I don't think it's going to strengthen any more than that. Which is good news. At least it's not the Category 2 or Category 3 we were really worried about. And the good news is it's moving north-northeastward away. It's not moving close to us, which is important to note. It is moving east away. Still got that easterly component. Let's go take a look at the visible high res. Looks a little more impressive on that. And it looks a lot more impressive on the visible. But you can start to see it's starting to maybe get a little bit of an extra tropical look to it, almost a little bit. It definitely seems to be interacting with that trough, as you see there. So we're going to look at our other satellite, and here it is, right here. You can see it right there. You can see some of the moisture already, some of the rain that we may actually be starting to deal with shortly offshore. But again, it is moving north-northeastward still. So it is still moving on a due easterly track, which is good. And you'll see the models there. A lot of the models have now shifted east and more over toward Montauk. All right, which is still very bad for Montauk, but a lot better for us. All right, so let's go take a look at. Let's go back to tropical tidbits. Back this up and look at the spaghetti models. And you'll see now a lot of them are tracking it much further east. So this is some good news. It's tracking east now. And the furthest west model is actually over Montauk, or it looks like East Hampton. So this is, again, some very, very, very good news for us. And thank God that it's tracking more east. And again, the intensity also. It's not going to make it much above a Category 1. All right. Since that trough is just a little stronger and a little further east, and it's pulling it more. So let's go take a look at some of the models here. Obviously, this is really becoming more of a nowcasting situation, but we will look at the models here. And here's the GFS of 12Z, and you see it's tracking it fairly far east of Montauk. Or, well, not east of Montauk. The GFS is tracking it over Montauk, but the point is, the areas where the winds are the eastern half of Suffolk County. We're not going to see too much wind from it. And the heaviest rain will also be over there, according to the GFS. Then it tracks in, and it sits inland and rains itself out, which may create a flooding situation in interior New York. and then finally slowly moves away. All right. When we look at the wind field on this, here is the wind field. You will see here the wind field. The stronger winds really just remain on the east end, and while this would be bad for the east end, for the rest of us, I would say anyone west of 112, it won't be too bad at all. Probably won't be dealing with too many power outages. But there could be, the hurricane force winds would probably wind up just staying over probably anywhere east of, I would say, Riverhead. And that would be it. All right. This is worse for the Cape and, well, especially Nantucket and Rhode Island. All right. But certainly a lot better than what we've been dealing with. And again, we're going to pull this out a little bit and show you the setup here. Let me get this pulled out a little bit more. Show you why this is happening. So let's look the wind up aloft, and you will see that trough's just a little stronger, and it's going to push it a little further east. Thank God. All right, so we're going to go back to this, look at the total accumulated precip, and you'll see how much rainfall could occur in these areas here. So you can see where the storm tracks. You're going to have east of Riverhead over 2 inches of rain, possibly 3 or 4 over Montauk. And for us, for Nassau County, probably around an inch. And the number goes up as you go further east. Let's go now to the NAM. The NAM's a little more west with the rainfall, obviously. And this is the NAM 18Z. Let me go to the 12Z run right here. So NAM's a little further west with the rainfall, interestingly enough. Let's go look at the actual track on this. So this is the NAM, and the NAM tracks it it tracks it east of Montauk, but it extends the rain much further west. And then it also it kind of pushes this thing further west, but that hook happens much further to the north, and that's the key. That's going to save us from the wind, at least much of the wind. If we look at the wind here, you will see here that again it stays mostly east here. All right, so that's very important. Now, unfortunately, we're still going to be dealing with the storm surge, so I don't think the NAM gives us that on the storm surge. We'd have to go back to the GFS, which I'll get to in a minute here. But let me go to the HRRR now. HRRR, and the least HRRR model. Now, the HRRR is probably still playing this game of shifting it further west, but it's come east a little bit, but not enough. Still hooks it a lot earlier than all the other models, which is it's starting to become what I would call an outlier at this point. And the HRRR also has a much weaker wind field too. But I'm not even going to bother with this HRRR because I think it's so off. It's not funny. All right. It's the only model that's doing that. All right. Look at the icon. Let's see what the icon is. Icon is still doing that too. So the icon and the HRRR continue to stubbornly take this further to the west. And like I said, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I really don't think so. So I think it continues to move northeast. And so I'm not going to go nuts with all these models here. We'll go to the windy.com site. Because at this point it's tracking east. So this is the windy.com site. And this is the European model now, which again wants to be a little further to the west now, of course. That takes the eye more over. It has a big eye too. It takes it more over Southampton and over Peconic. This would put more of the stronger winds over Suffolk County. But again, this would be wind gusts. So this would put the wind gusts at 50. So it might not even landfall as a hurricane at this point. It might weaken below a hurricane just before it makes landfall. This again is the European model, which is far west. If we look at the GFS, you can see it's further east. And this is the NAM. Now this uses the NAM 12, not the NAM 32. There's no way, it just says NAM here. I can't pick whatever one it was. So the NAM wants to be a little further to the west. All right. But again, I think the worst impacts are for the east end. Now, let me go look at the waves situation here. And again, you see where that storm surge is. And you can see here that it's going to be, again, that that east end area. Now, if the European is correct, it's a little further to the west and a little slower. But again, these models here are, well, it's actually matching up pretty decently here. But the worst storm surges are going to occur on the east end. But there certainly will be a storm surge. There'll be some flooding in Nassau County, but the worst of the flooding is going to be on the east end, as far as the seawater goes, as the sea, because that's where it's closest to the storm center. All right, and also Rhode Island too. I think Rhode Island is also going to have a lot of problems as well. Rhode Island and Nantucket, and now that the track is further east, those areas are going to have to worry more once again. All right, so let's talk about what the railroad is doing. They are suspending service on the Montauk branch east of Patchogue and to and from Greenport. So the eastern part of Suffolk County, obviously that's the part that's going to be impacted the most. So Suffolk County Transit, not surprisingly, finally decided they're not going to be running tomorrow because, again, it's going to be too dangerous. Suffolk County is under a hurricane warning at this point, and the railroad may wind up having to suspend service even at further west points eventually, depending on the conditions. Let's go to the latest briefing on Henri, I should say. So hurricane warning in effect for eastern Long Island. Eastern Long Island and coastal southeast Connecticut. Tropical storm warning in effect for New York City, New Jersey metros. Storm surge warning now in effect for North Queens, and storm surge watch. What has changed? Henri's become a hurricane, and they're making landfall most likely across eastern Long Island, southeastern Connecticut. Henri has increased in forward speed, moving to the north faster than previous. Confidence in damaging to destructive winds and flooding for LI and Connecticut. Hurricane Henri is expected to shrink to a hurricane as it tracks north and then northwest. All right, it's still moving northeast right now. All right. And it's moved a lot since they made this update. This is why I'm not going to really read this because it's already moved quite a bit. And it's still moving northeastward too. All right. So it just shows you some charts here. And again, it's mainly the eastern part of Long Island that I think are going to see the worst impacts from this storm here right now. So with the track shifting further east, and that's important as we know. So again, you can see that it's tracking east. You can see it's moving northeast, continuing to move northeast here. All right. Despite we thought maybe it would hook sooner, but it's not hooking yet. And right now, more and more of the models, as we say, have more of a more easterly track. So this is important again. So we're going to draw right here if we can. Get an idea of where this thing is going to go, or at least where I think it's going to go. All right, we'll use the red line. That's fine. All right. I'm going to try to kind of put it like this. All right. This is where I think it's going to go. Right here. All right. In this little alleyway right here. All right. The lines representing the edges of the storm, or the edges of the worst parts of the storm. All right, so eastern Suffolk, anything east of like 112, you're going to see those. You're going to see this is where the major impacts are going to be: power outages, flooding, that kind of stuff. All right, west of it, it'll probably just be scattered power outages, not as And that's the main thing. Of course, that's always concerned me with it going to be with is the power outage situation, right? Let's now go look at the radar because we're starting to see some of this on the radar. So let's go to the radar here. You start to see some of the showers already. A few light areas of light rain that are moving toward our area. Nothing heavy, some light rain. So we get to see what's maybe moving to our area. That's the Futurecast radar. But you can sort of see the light rain showing up there, all right? We're going to start seeing that rain move into our area, all right? So we're going to go back to the... we'll talk. I don't think we're going to really see any of the really heavier rain until later, but then again, the system is moving faster than we thought, so we may start seeing some of that heavier rain. Let's look at this radar as well. So that is this radar right here. You can see a little bit of light rain, maybe possibly moving into our area. Looks like heavier rain moving more toward that heavier blob is moving more toward New Jersey at this point. But this is associated with the storm. Let's go look at some of the current conditions outside right now. And some observations, some buoy observations and stuff like that as well. All right. And look at some wind gusts. So right now we're in the upper 70s to around 80. There's a buoy. You have a buoy here reporting a wind gust of 40 miles an hour. Wave height 12 feet. Not much going on at this buoy so far. Wave height is 5.6 feet. And I'm sure the dew points have come up as well. We're getting into that tropical area. Dew points are back into the 70s. So we're getting into that tropical air mass right now. So bottom line is this. You're looking at the map again, and I'll just leave it with the satellite once again. Let's go to that as we track this. So there is Henri right there, continuing to track north and east, and that is a good sign because it's making more and more progress to the east, away from the western parts of Long Island. So that is going to wrap up this update on Hurricane Henri, and we'll have another update later for you tonight.